What is a product that, if people found out how it was made, they'd stop buying it? Most low to mid-tier vodkas. I work at an industrial distillery, where we make millions of gallons of very high purity ethanol from corn. We have customers in the beverage market that literally just dilute our product to 80 proof or so, run it through a filter, and bottle it to sell. Those customers sell their products from anywhere from $8 to $50 plus for a liter. And you know what the main difference is? The more expensive vodka's bottle is fancier. It's almost all brand perception with these corn-based vodkas. I can definitely tell the difference in smell and taste between Rijeka and Titus vodka though. I don't get how PPL like Titus so much. Certain signed artwork. Used to work at an art printing company that we did signature editions of certain pieces. Guess who did the signing? Me and some coworkers. We were all design and art majors, so they just had us learn all the artists' signatures. We even had machines that could mimic the signatures too. I wish I had a picture of the devices, they were pretty cool. It was in the fine print that we were doing it, and was approved by the artists, but I guarantee most people would never buy the prints if they knew the signatures were forged. So always read the fine print when buying items, especially special editions of stuff. Only buying from artists from now on. Same. I'm only buying the artist from now on for authenticity. This reminds me of a documentary series my dad once watched. Garlic. The garlic industry is a hell of a lot darker than most people would think. I don't remember everything, but apparently a lot of Chinese companies that sell to restaurants overseas use prison labor. These inmates have to peel the garlic completely by hand. No tools whatsoever. There were a few inmates missing fingernails. If I recall correctly, one man said that he had a friend who had to resort to using his teeth because he didn't have any nails left. They work unimaginably grueling shifts, in which they have to meet a quota for the day or face consequences. They get paid very little, if anything at all. They all seemed so miserable. The series is titled Rotten. You can find it on Netflix. Rotten is so good. There's one about how the avocado trade fuels cartels in Michoacan, Mexico, and other ones about milk, cod, chocolate, wine, weed edibles, and more. Fresh juices are not so fresh apparently. A friend whose family owns mango orchard told me these companies buy the leftover stock that doesn't sell directly and leave the rest to strong artificial flavoring for uniform taste. Fresh squeezed is marketing. You can deliver orange juice year round in 3 ways. 1. Buy fresh oranges and squeeze them yourself. 2. Squeeze the oranges, remove most of the water and freeze the concentrate. This is sold as frozen concentrate. 3. Squeeze the oranges, then separate all the components of the juice mechanically and chemically. Store the various components in huge tanks, sometimes for years. Then mix it with flavors and preservatives. Bottle it, and sell it, before it separates again. This is sold as fresh squeezed, because it's never been frozen, unless you physically see method 1. Method 2 is far fresher. In high school, the girls in my class were horrified to find out what their Uggs were made of. They had no idea. What did they think sheepskin boots were made from? The human brain is incredibly good at forgetting and ignoring information that might inconvenience it. I'm gonna pretend like I didn't see this. Silk. Bonus story. Had a friend who worked briefly in bridal, and was fitting a woman who was boasting how vegan and eco-friendly her wedding was going to be. No one was allowed to wear leather, etc. All while wearing her dress with huge amounts of silk on it. Eater. The 17th of July 20. A lot of people asking if my friend told the bride. So I asked her. No, I didn't. The bride and her friend started making fun of my disability when they thought I wasn't in the room and couldn't hear them. I would have also lost my job if I had lost the sale. Extracting raw silk starts by cultivating the silkworms on mulberry leaves. Once the worms start pupating in their cocoons, these are dissolved in boiling water. Wiki. Whoa. I did not know this. For some reason, this is what's got me most surprised in this thread. What is worse is that the silkworms themselves are no longer capable of surviving without human influence. The male silkworm, which matures into a moth, is so physically weak that they are unable to fly due to poor breeding. And that's just one species of animal that has suffered due to domestication. That's actually hella sad. I want to say sneakers by brands like Nike, who exploit, underpay and abuse their workers, but sadly most people already know how they are made and still buy them. Brands like Nike are the poster child for unethical fashion companies, but they are only a fraction of the story. The real issue is that if you choose a different brand over Nike, there's a good chance that they're just as bad or even worse. Just in the category of sport shoes, Brooks, Columbia, Spalding, Skechers, and Under Armour, link in description, are all often ranked far worse than Nike. It's not a matter of avoiding the bad brands. We are at the point where we need to actively look for the good ones. Can you imagine working yourself to death and the end product is Skechers? After I found out the story behind the palm plantations for production of palm oil, I made it my personal mission to completely throw it out of my life, and that S.T is in almost everything you eat. And in so many cosmetic products, and in shampoo, and in cleaning detergent. One really wonders why the fuck they put that in there to begin with. Oil combined with lye creates soap. Not really a product, but if people knew how much, and often people cut corners in construction, I think housing prices would go way down. I don't think I was ever on a job where a problem came up, and people were like, okay, let's start over and do this right. Or, especially in bigger construction companies, how much time the employees waste to run the clock. When you buy a used house, you'd be shocked at the corners people cut to make them look sellable. I work at a home improvement retailer. They ask you how to do a project, and then disregard what you say, if they can do it easier, faster or cheaper. I know the signs of budget flips, and budget repairs now. Fast fashion. Even a conservative estimate puts that industry as the 5th biggest polluter, globally. Just stop it. I've worked in 2 different meat departments in 2 separate grocery stores. The meat in the case that has had work done, marinated or like put into kebabs, are usually the old meat we didn't sell that is about to go bad. That marinade is hiding how shitty the meat looks. I really don't have a problem with this, as long as you're not selling spoiled meat. This is a good way to reduce food waste. Meat will naturally oxidize, losing that bright red color folks like, but this has a pretty minimal impact on taste. Slurm. Poplars. Chocolate produced by child labor. Anyone who enjoys sausage and respects the law should never find out how either are made. No one really knows how the game is played, the art of the trade, how the sausage gets made. We just assume that it happens, but no one else is in the room where it happens. Coffee and cockroaches are linked in several ways. For those who don't know, this happens with coffee because the large piles of coffee beans get infested with cockroaches, and, according to Emlyn, it is impossible to remove them completely, so they are simply ground up with the coffee beans. Source: link in description. Link in description. Oh well. Fuck it. Who cares? Found a coffee drinker. Baby powder. If only they knew where all the babies go. Nah, baby powder is what's left when you squeeze all the oil out. RVs. They aren't insulated fully. Nothing is sealed correctly. All the electronics that are fancy and new are outdated and inefficient. The manufacturers use the cheapest materials possible, and all RVs are built in 8 hours. A vacation home on wheels in 8 hours. Those that live in travel trailers are well aware. I really don't think there is one. If it's because the ingredients or preparation are disgusting, I think most people are perfectly happy to keep eating/using it because the finished product is fine. If it's a moral reason, I just don't think most people would care enough to stop using or eating whatever the product is. We've known for years that Air Jordans are being made with child labor in sweet shops, and sales haven't dipped one bit due to that. And I don't say this as a cynic. I think we should work to improve conditions for all humanity, but the proportion of consumers who would be bothered enough to stop buying a thing is vanishingly small. That reminds me that Hershey's has some ethically made label on the back of their chocolate bars, even though 99% it probably isn't XD. Link in description. http www. Link in description. / has a list of companies that use fair labor practices for anyone interested in eating chocolate, but not supporting slavery. Many can be found in regular supermarkets. Very many at places like Whole Foods. Nothing. People know what goes into hot dogs and chicken nuggets. They still eat them. They've seen what the sweet shops look like, and they still buy stuff from there. One of my favorite videos. Chef tries to gross out kids showing how one is made. They all want to eat it at the end. He's just disgusted with everything. Link in description. Babies. Why? How do they make babies? Link in description. Company make them. I'd imagine if people walked through the sweatshops that produce most of their clothing, they would consider spending a bit more for products made in a more humane way. One of the reasons I think buying ethically made clothing is difficult is the large price difference, at least with the clothes I've seen. Also, many of the shops I've seen with strong ethical values tend to be online, and there are some clothing items that are difficult to buy without trying them on. I want to do better, but the industry doesn't make it easy. Buy might be a stretch, but porn, when abuse happens there, not only is it pretty abominable, but the end user also watches a good bit of it with their own eyes. Even worse, the end user is turned on by it. That's literally the end goal. People always point at Apple for exploiting Chinese labor, but don't realize that pretty much every company does the same thing and most of them use the exact same factory as Apple. It's called Foxconn, not Apple. They make everything. Not exactly a product, but certain legal services. A lot of times lawyers are just filling in blanks from a template when drafting documents, and many problems can be resolved with a 2-minute online search, if you know where to look. If the public had the knowledge of, and access to the resources available to lawyers, there's an awful lot people could figure out for themselves. Of course, that's not to say it's a good idea to DIY a legal matter, if you don't know exactly what you're doing. Just that the prices people pay for certain legal services aren't commensurate with the amount of time and effort they actually take the lawyer to complete. As a corporate lawyer, this is 100% true up until you get to a certain level. If you are selling or buying a business, or once you get into a certain dollar amount, just googling a form document won't work. Same goes for anything that starts to touch on securities laws. There go my plans of being a fake lawyer. You'd be surprised how many products, including food, involve slavery. Does anything exist that doesn't harm other living beings in some way? Not really. Animal crackers, what they do to shrink and crisp those poor animals is truly disturbing. Wait till you hear how goldfish crackers are made. Gelatine. Veal. Yup, there is a reason why you don't see too many male calves on a dairy farm. Because of the low amount of milk they give.